Good day and welcome. I am Stephen Michael Ellenson, the Director of the Travel and Hospitality Practice for AWS. I'm absolutely grateful to be here in an audience with live folks together again. It's amazing and powerful to be able to come together like this as a group. Today, we'll be talking about the transformation of hospitality for the customer of the future. In my role, I'm super fortunate that I'm able to work with executives in travel and hospitality organizations around the world. Part of this allows me to become a trusted advisor and join in some really interesting conversations. As you can likely imagine, over the last 3 years, those conversations have mostly revolved around what will the future of travel and hospitality be. I can share with you that there's some commonality that emerges from those conversations. And it's that hospitality is really a promise that we place to our guests. And that the future of hospitality is really our ability to deliver upon that promise. And that central theme that emerges is one of trust, right? Our guests trust us when they fly, when they sleep, when they eat, or do anything with us. And so the future of hospitality is going to be us continuing to be able to deliver on trust for our customers. Now, as a good Amazonian, I, of course, had to go find data in order to back all of those conversations. So what I'd like to share with you is a survey that I actually found from PricewaterhouseCoopers that I think does a really good job of cementing the fact that trust is key to all of our customers in the hospitality industry. They asked a couple thousand consumers about whether or not industries or certain brands are meeting their expectations for trust and overall customer service. On the far left of the screen, you see a couple of those industries that I'd like to present for you today. I've highlighted the airline, the hotel, and the restaurant segments specifically for our attention. Now, there's really 3 core observations that I would like to share with you as you look at the data between the level of trust and expectations customers have and the industry's ability to deliver. First is that the healthcare industry has the highest level of trust and customer expectation. Sort of makes sense when you think that a lot of the times if you're interacting in that industry, it could be a life or death situation, so that makes sense. The second is that the airline industry has the largest gap. So they're not doing the best of jobs meeting those customers' expectations. Now, the third is the really good news. It's that the segments in this room today, the restaurants and the hotel segments, actually do some of the best jobs and keep that gap very narrow. But if you look at the data, there's an average of about an 11% gap between what customers expect from us and our ability to actually deliver upon that trust. And that's why I'm excited that the transformation of hospitality for the future is our topic today, because I know our leaders are going to be able to address and share with you how they're working to close that gap. When I speak about those leaders, I'm really excited to begin to introduce both Sean and Kelly to you. You see, I invited them here today specifically because I believe they are uniquely positioned to share with you their insights. You see, collectively, they operate more than 28 brands in over 155 countries and represent more than 63,000 physical outlets. Right? You think about the size, the complexity, the scale of the problems that they're trying to solve on behalf of their customers, their guests, and their team members. And I think you're in a treat for some really amazing insights from them. Now, both of them also choose to build on AWS. It's because they value the flexibility, elasticity, scale, and ability to reach their global enterprises. They each also harness data. They turn that data into insights, and they use it in order to inform all of the business decisions that they make. Again, I'm confident you're going to see that in their presentations today. Now, I also invited them because over the years I've been fortunate to work with them. I believe they both possess really unique leadership styles. You see, I believe they are leaders who lead with trust. They build a tremendous foundation with their boards of directors, their fellow executives, the team members that they guide and coach and mentor. And it's that sense of trust that actually allows them to deliver substantially above and beyond other leaders that I've been fortunate to work with. Now, as we think about the insights that both Sean and Kelly are going to share with us, I'm cognizant of the fact that they have a very myopic perspective from their industries, restaurants and hotels. And so for that reason, I want to share with you that at AWS, we actually classify all of travel and hospitality. So that means we work with the airlines, the airports, the ground transportation companies, and that includes passenger rail, passenger bus, and car rental agencies. We work with travel service providers, and that also includes travel resellers. Now, we work with accommodations and lodging, alternative lodging kinds of folks, casinos, cruise lines, and then we also cover the full value stream of the restaurant industry. So food service distribution, restaurateurs across all possible segments, and the third-party delivery marketplaces. Now, the travel and hospitality industry is choosing to build on AWS. And so as a result of the depth and the breadth of the customers that we support, some of whose logos are represented on the screen behind me, we're also uniquely positioned to share insights from across the entire travel and hospitality industry. We find that all of these companies are using the more than 225 distinct AWS services in order to enhance their customers' experiences and to increase the operating efficiencies of their organizations. Again, two other themes that I think you will see emerge today when Sean and Kelly present. Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't say there's other opportunities for all of us across travel and hospitality to learn from each other. And so I want to call your attention to one such opportunity. There's another session just like this, TRV202, on how AWS is enabling the future of air travel to lift off and take off. I encourage you to check it out. We'll have the Global Chief Information Officer, Sam Tramon, from Qantas Airlines presenting, and then David Thompson, who's the Chief Technology Officer from American Express Global Business Travel, will be sharing as well. As always, please refer to your mobile application or your attendee guide to make sure you have the right locations and times for these kinds of sessions. So to turn us back to transforming for hospitality and the customer of the future, and our central theme of trust. For me, the Choice Hotel brands actually earned a place in trust very early for me. You see, I'm the youngest of a large multi-generational family, and I spent the entirety of my youth traveling up and down the entire eastern seaboard of the United States in the very back of a station wagon. Now, this was at a time before there were seatbelts. It also meant I had a rearward-facing seat, and so I was looking out the back of the window while the rest of the family had the opportunity to see what was coming through the front window. So I also feel I have a unique perspective on travel because of that. When going to these really large family gatherings and traveling on extended road trips, we would have to stop over. My parents trusted the Choice Hotel family and brands, and so we used to stay at Choice Hotel properties. For my brother and myself, the highlight of any of those trips would be when one of those Choice Hotel properties had a swimming pool, right? And so for those reasons, I'm super honored to begin to introduce Sean Seaton. Sean is the Senior Director of Enterprise Architecture for Choice Hotels. He began his career actually as the CEO and the founder of an organization that dedicated itself to training, certification, and consulting. After many years doing that, he pivoted and began to work with some brands directly. First, Kaiser Permanente, and then he joined Choice Hotels. It's because of his immense passion for the cloud and for training and for enabling others that he actually earned the first ever designation from Choice Hotels as being a distinguished cloud architect. Now, Sean's also part of an organization that's called sustainablet.org. It was founded by Choice's Chief Information Officer, Brian Kirkland. Together, Brian and Sean are working in order to build a more sustainable future for generations that are yet to come. So please join me in welcoming Sean Seaton to the stage.
Thank you, Stephen. Choice Hotels is based out of Rockville, Maryland, but the vast majority of the 600 or so team members on the technology team are based with me in Scottsdale, Arizona. I think we have some of those team members here today, so welcome. Choice is over 80 years old and one of the largest franchisors in the world. You may have heard of some of the brands, Quality Inn, or our flagship Comfort brand, or maybe our latest acquisition, Radisson. But what you probably don't know is that Choice is actually 3 companies in one. First, we're a hospitality company, which you probably do know. We represent 1 in 10 hotels in the United States and 1 in 4 hotels in the mid-scale segment. Second, we are a franchise company. Nearly all of our properties are owned by small business owners. And we have over 7,500 hotels with over 600,000 hotel rooms in 46 countries around the world. And third, why we're here today in the AWS reInvent, is that we're a technology company. Technology that serves our owners and our guests. And my job with the technology team is to provide scale and profitability, not only for Choice, but for the franchisees that rely on us. For them, this is their life. Quite often in the properties, being small business owners, family members spend years working at the properties. That's something I love about hospitality, the people aspect of it. In Choice, innovation goes back decades. Being a company that's more than 80 years old, we've had some firsts. We had the first iPhone application for reservations. We had the first cloud-based property management system, Choice Advantage. We had the first central reservation system, which we call our global reservation system, Choice Edge. And recently, during the pandemic, we won a Hotel Visionary Award for our revenue management system, Choice Max. In Choice, we have a long-range view on strategy, and it centers around technical innovation. My role is to lead that technical innovation and lead the enterprise architecture team so that we can provide services for guests, for franchisees, and for the employees. And as you can imagine, being a company that's been more than 80 years old, there's a little bit of technical debt, which the team here knows about. But we made tremendous strides in our digital transformation, and in many ways, we lead the industry. That has not come by chance. Early on with AWS, we made a strategy of all in with AWS. And during the pandemic, because of that strategy of all in with AWS, we were able to pivot quickly. And it was a huge advantage on the rest of the industry because we were able to scale and right-size for our environment. This scaling on demand allowed us to save costs even as the hotel traffic went down. And it drastically improves our impact on the environment and sustainability at the same time. Because our energy consumption goes down, and it's based on scale for traffic, not for peak. So with that and the environment and our related carbon footprints also went down, an overall bonus and benefit for sustainability. In fact, when running in the AWS cloud, the Natural Resource Defense Council and AWS report a 3 to 4 times higher server utilization than when running on the data center. Because of the better use of power and cooling and the efficiency in workloads, we actually see a 3 times the amount of server workloads with the same energy consumption. In fact, that allows us to have 3 times less CO2. AWS is 88% more energy efficient than running in the data center. And you probably heard on Tuesday's keynote, there's a commitment that in 2025, the energy will be 100% sustainable energy. And a new commitment this week from AWS is to be water positive by 2030, which means they give back water instead of just consuming it, which is huge for our company, for instance, that's centered in Scottsdale, Arizona. Can you imagine if we all moved to the cloud? Cost savings, efficiency, benefit to the environment, and the ability to pivot. In 2020, we all experienced the impact of the pandemic. But in hospitality, it was really a huge inflection point. We were not even publishing forecasts anymore. We were focused on staying alive, staying safe, keeping hotels open, and keeping employees working. Because we had our success with running in AWS, we were able to pivot quickly during the pandemic. And in the first 3 months of the pandemic, we delivered more changes than the entire year previously. Promotions, training, new change policies, new procedures because of the pandemic. We were able to scale and experiment while being in the AWS cloud. All of those were possible. This year, we also closed one of our major data centers. In the next few months, we'll close our second data center. Now, it's our final data center within Choice, but it's not really the finish line. It's the beginning. It's the starting line for providing business value, further have our ability to pivot. Effect on the environment is positive, and it opens up a whole new set of opportunities for us. We can deliver products faster, onboard partners faster. It's really new ways to help the people around us. One of those major systems, as I said, our central reservation system, which we call our global reservation system because it goes all around the world, is completely in the AWS cloud. It's called Choice Edge. And it synchronizes data for availability, rates, and inventory for all of our partners, for over 500,000 hotel rooms. It's highly integrated and in sync 24/7, 365, in real time. Your vacations, your work travel are not interrupted. You can imagine there's a lot of legacy systems in hotels that are not built for the cloud. So we worked with AWS to redesign completely from the ground up. And it was the first cloud-based global reservation system. As you can see from the architecture, we have multiple availability zones, and this is over many hundred microservices. We have spot instances, which allow us to save money. We have highly resilient and performant Amazon Aurora. And if you caught the keynote this morning, having event-driven architecture is a way that you can make changes and evolve. All of our system is based on an event-driven architecture. We don't use EventBridge. We use Kafka for that. But all of the Kafka messages go to our backend systems and communicate between the microservices. In addition, Kafka is used to stream, as you can see on the right-hand side, to our analytics platform. And on the analytics platform, we use Amazon Managed Airflow to schedule the tasks. We use Amazon EMR for analyzing the data. And all that data goes in our data warehouse, which is Redshift. At the same time the events are streaming, we stream them into SageMaker so that we can create models. In addition, you can see that our observability is based on open source technology, as well as managed services from AWS. Our metrics uses Prometheus for metrics, Thanos for long-term storage, and Grafana for storage of dashboards. Our logs use Amazon OpenSearch, and our traces are using OpenTelemetry. Now, we started to experiment a lot using Kubernetes. I know a number of you have done that as well, and using Amazon's flavor of Kubernetes, which is Amazon EKS. Telemetry runs there, and we've also started to run microservices that were in spot instances as containers on EKS. So all of this for us has been a game changer. We've seen significant cost reduction. We've provided more volume with better performance than ever before, using technologies like Aurora or Lambda have allowed us to focus on business value instead of the infrastructure. We've had way faster product roll times and 10 times faster partner onboarding compared to the industry averages. So this project's been a huge success for Choice and is delivering on all the promise of the cloud. Another product that's in the cloud is our revenue management system, Choice Max. Now, Choice Max is an AI that sets the right price for each room on each day for each guest, and it updates the price multiple times per day. In fact, it makes over 100,000 times more pricing recommendations for our franchisees. So let's see it in action. Our franchisee at the Quality Inn and Suites in Westminster Broomfield saw a 67% increase in sellouts in a 6-week period using Choice Max. That equates to $83,000 of incremental revenue. And that was just for 6 weeks. Just imagine how that number will grow over time. Or here, we have the Cambria Hotel in downtown Nashville, Tennessee. In the hospitality industry, there is a metric called RevPAR Index, which is a metric to compare performance versus a competitive set. And this property saw a 16-point growth of that metric, RPI, resulting in an impressive $430,000 of incremental revenue. And all of this technology runs in AWS. It's a partnership with ideas for model creation and inference, but our system's based on serverless, API-first, event-driven architecture using Amazon API Gateway, using Lambda for compute and authorization. All of that can scale up when needed, when there's more traffic, but what people forget with serverless, it can also basically scale down to 0 when there isn't any traffic. So it's been very beneficial to use serverless for this architecture. In Choice, as I said before, we believe in technical innovation because it can drive positive change. And hospitality is all about people and the people that depend on us. The small business owners, the guests that have meetings, family reunions, or their vacation. It matters not just for business success, but also for the people, as I mentioned, that depend on us. We have a long-range view on strategy that centers around technical innovation, and we believe we have to be successful today and tomorrow. And when we talk about tomorrow, it's important that we focus on sustainability at the same time as profitability. And the nice thing is, they're two sides of the same coin. When you're more profitable and less costs, typically that means you have less water waste, less energy waste, and you're better sustainable. So we focus on technical innovations that affect sustainability and find that in the cloud, we have millions of opportunities to positively affect people's lives. We take it seriously, and we invest in it. In fact, we're doubling down on that investment through something called ESG. ESG stands for environmental, social, and governance. It's all about making sure that when companies succeed, they also have a positive impact on the world. The environment part of ESG looks at how the business impacts the environment. Carbon emissions, power utilization, water conservation. The social part is about how business interacts with communities, how fairly it treats its people, its commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. And the governance part is not just about walking the walk. It's about walking the walk, not just talking the talk. Paying attention and measuring, because you know if you don't measure something, you don't know if you're successful. ESG is a critical function and a strategic commitment to our long-term success. And we've recently created a new role of Vice President of Environmental, Social, and Governance. I'll focus on environmental with a couple of examples here, and we have great ways of measuring that. You may have seen that the SEC also has provided guidance for standard climate-related disclosures, and I was in a talk on Monday on how Moody's rates companies based on ESG scores and their architecture in AWS for that. So very important to focus on it. From an environmental standpoint, for 10 years, Choice has had something called Room to be Green. Room to be Green is a set of environmentally friendly practices for the hotels and for our corporate offices. It's 5 key pillars for environmental impact: energy conservation, water conservation, recycling and waste management, as well as employee engagement and sustainable product usage. At our annual franchisee convention, we recently evolved that to something called Commitment to Green. And Commitment to Green, we have a number of programs that we're rolling out both for the corporate as well as our franchisees. So I'm going to go through some of the tools that we're giving our franchisees to help to see how we're tracking Commitment to Green. One of those tools is a partnership with Schneider Electric. Schneider Electric has tools to allow you it's an energy tracking dashboard based on AWS. It allows you to track energy, water, and waste. So every property can track it independently, and we can roll that up as a systems view. It automatically syncs each month with the property's utility company. And as I said, more sustainability means less costs, more profitability for each of those properties. And so the governance part of that environment is making sure we measure that across the entire system so we can strengthen our ESG efforts from the environment standpoint. It allows us to set targets that we can meet and use for stakeholder marketing, because the customer of the future, sustainability is very important. You may have also heard that from an architectural best practices in AWS, there's a new pillar for specifically sustainability. This allows us to expose environmental and governance opportunities to drive positive change for the people that are around us. Another tool that we give our franchisees is called CHOPS, Choice Hotel Owners Profitability System. Profitability goes up, sustainability goes up. This is a hotel advising dashboard based on AWS, integrated with our property management system, also in AWS, Choice Advantage. It allows properties to set goals and measure against them. It also allows a property to compare itself to a set of other properties so they can see if they have more costs. When you expose more costs, generally they can be based on sustainability things. In one example, we had a property where the cost for water and sewer was significantly higher to other similar-sized properties, and we wondered what's going on. We found that the pool was leaking 4 to 6 inches of water every day. As well, they had a number of slow leaks on their toilets. So the water waste came up because of the profitability numbers and the profitability system. And it saved $25,000 to $36,000 of annual revenue just by focusing on those costs and helped the environment at the same time. So Choice is using technology to drive positive change by doing something as simple as sealing a pool leak or finding a leaky toilet, reducing water and energy resources as well as costs for our owners, providing extra value for our franchisees. We're using technology in the AWS cloud to innovate and do things that were not possible before, like our award-winning revenue management system, Choice Max, or our partnership with Schneider Electric to drive positive environmental change. You've seen a lot of environment first. So I ask, what if, as technology leaders, we do nothing to affect change within ESG? What happens if we maintain status quo, don't invest in sustainable business and IT practices? What impact will we be having to the environment, our customers, our employees, and our families and generations to come? I'm a very optimistic person, but if I look at the environmental data that's in front of me, I know it's time to act. We have the ability to act before we exhaust our limited resources. Every day matters. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sean. You continue to confirm for me just exactly how yourself and your organization and your team members really do lead with trust. You see it demonstrated how they build these trusted solutions for their guests, for their franchisees, and even that they're building on behalf of all of us in the more sustainable planet that they're trying to produce. So thank you. Begin to shift gears and move towards our next speaker. I go back to that central theme of trust, and once again, as you can imagine, I believe Yum! Brands is a very trusted brand. I also believe it's integral into many of our lives. Some of you may know that it is one of the world's largest restaurant brands. For me, again, I was inspired at a very early age to become a proficient reader. I don't know if any of you had access to what was then called the Pizza Hut Book It program, but for every book you would read in a younger age in school, you could trade that in and you could actually get a certificate for a free pan pizza. So free pizza, I was reading a lot of books and getting a lot of pizza. Those journeys I told you about in the back of the station wagon to visit my family in the East Coast, most of them were capped off with a triumphant meal that included a very large bucket of Kentucky Fried Chicken. And when my older brother finally got old enough to get his driver's license, and I could sit in the front of the car instead of sitting in the way back of the car, the very first place we went was to drive clear across town to visit our Taco Bell in order to celebrate. So Yum! Brands is integral to my life, and I hope that it is for you guys as well. That allows me to begin to introduce Kelly Dowdy. Kelly is the Vice President of Global Digital Commerce for Yum! Brands. She actually began her career working on the Apache helicopter program. She then transitioned and started to help some retail brands, first Express Scripts, and then she joined Yum! Brands. She has an absolutely infectious sense of energy and brings a tremendous pride and amount of trust into the work that she does. I believe you'll see that come through in her presentation today. Now, in the same way that Sean is trying to build a future around sustainability for all of us, Kelly has that same passion for doing it with women and result, she's actually the co-founder and remains the executive sponsor of the Women in Technology group for Yum Brands. And in her personal time, she's a passionate champion for the Girls Who Code program. So please join me in welcoming Kelly Dowdy to the stage.
Cool. So brands. I figured a video was a much better way to introduce the company if you haven't heard of us, but KFC, Pizza Hut, Taco Bell, and then we recently acquired, right before the pandemic, Habit Burger Grill, which, has anybody eaten at a Habit? Amazing food, predominantly on the West Coast in California, but we're expanding, so I think there are over 350 restaurants now. It's a pleasure to be here. So before I start, I just want to recognize I've got some of my team in the room, and the team in the room has been amazing, and they're really the chief architects behind what I'm presenting today and the brains behind everything. So thank you to my team for letting me represent the great work that you are doing at Yum and for all of our brands. So, all right. So Yum as a company, we've been these 3 separate and recently 4 separate brands for years, and we just celebrated our 25-year anniversary of becoming one company under the Yum umbrella. However, those 4 brands really operated independently from a tech perspective, from a system perspective, up until about 2 years ago. So 2 years ago, Yum came and said, you know what? We are the largest restaurant company in the world, so 54,000 restaurants now in 145 plus countries. You saw kind of our system sales, 58 billion in system sales, 22 billion of that is coming through digital channels. These 4 brands had all of their own systems, and we said, okay, we need to start pulling this together, own and build a common system, a truly global system to power all of the brands. And so that was really founded in 2020, and we've been on that journey. One of the products that we started building was an e-commerce platform. So think of this as a API engine powering all the consumer-facing ordering channels, whether it's older channels like our websites or our mobile apps, newer channels, aggregators came onto the scenes, and the next generation channels, so metaverse ordering or Roblox ordering, all those things, Instagram ordering that's coming. They just released their API for that. Independently, or prior to kind of us being formed, the brands would all go solve these problems on their own. And so we ended up with 30 plus different e-commerce platforms across the brands. And said, all right, we can do this better. Let's build one and let's power everything. When we looked at, okay, what are our key premises? Like, what are the pain points that we're trying to solve for? How do we need to make this work? 3 of them came up. So one is we have to have a resilient platform, right? $22 billion in digital sales, like we can't go down. In the restaurant industry, everybody's ordering all the time. Right, through the drive-through, 24/7. Some of our Taco Bell cantinas in the Strip. If you haven't been there, go there. It's fantastic. You can order 24/7. I think it's open all the time. And these orders are, you get it to the store, you order it, you pick it up, and so it's a very short window where if there's any downtime in that, the customer experience is interrupted. For us, think about this. The platform we have to build has to power 155 countries across the globe. All of those countries have planned events. And planned events, you're like, oh, that's great. I know when something's going to happen. I know when there's going to be a spike in traffic. But how do you keep track of 155 countries and World Cup events or a local event or a high school football game that, is going to have a spike at that one store that Friday night, right? How do you, as a central team, keep track of all those things? Well, you can't. Even though they're planned, you can't. And then on top of that, you got all the unplanned events. So these are some of the ones that happened this year. Anybody Mexican pizza? Anybody? Okay, right? So I'll show you a chart a little bit. Like this was a very unexpected, unplanned event. When we brought this back, what happened on that day, and I'll show you a cool chart. Angry reactions guy. So this was a marketing campaign that we did with Pizza Hut. Went viral, like absolutely viral. Like I can't even remember the number of impressions, but also spiked sales. So we're like, all right, we have to have a resilient platform. There's so many, 155 countries. There's planned events. Can't keep track of that. In the old days, maybe, an e-commerce platform sitting in Mexico, like you could more plan around just that country and you had more control and more visibility. We can't keep track of all that. So that was our number one premise and is one of the most important premises. Number two is we've got to optimize cost. So 155 countries, as you can imagine, a lot of those countries, especially developing countries, are countries that cannot afford a high-price solution, right? They're countries where the margins are so razor thin. And those entrepreneurs that are building these restaurants in a lot of African countries and other places, like we can't provide them this highly resilient platform that's going to cost them an arm and a leg, because then a digital order to them is actually a negative profit for them. And so that was really, really important. Of course, in all of hospitality, I think we've all faced the pressures of supply chain and inflation. And as those costs go up, we as technology, we've got to figure out how do we give a resilient platform that's also optimized for cost, and what does that look like? So that was premise number two. Premise number three is speed to market. And I think everybody recognizes this. We've always been good at that. We pretty much were born in the cloud. So we haven't had on-prem data centers for a long time. We were pretty much born in the cloud, but it's how do you make sure if you're powering all these things, you get things out quickly, safely, you fail fast. During the pandemic, like one of our biggest shifts was to delivery, right? The restaurants were shut down, had to get off-prem, had to get food out, hot, fast, quickly. Those sorts of, how do we get those features out by country, by region, at the right time, and make sure that we're always up and not bringing systems down every time we're releasing something. So these were kind of our three core tenets. We had kind of other ones, and then we said, all right, how are we gonna do this? Who is a partner in the industry that we can trust, that can really support these three tenets for us, and like us, is obsessed with our customers, ensuring they have an amazing experience when they're ordering our food and they're picking up from our restaurants. And our fourth one was someone that's gonna roll up their sleeves and get in the weeds with us and help us solve these really tough problems. When we're done with this will be the largest e-commerce platform in the restaurant industry. It will. We're the largest company. If we get all of our digital sales, it'll be the largest. And so we needed somebody with that expertise that also operated across the globe that way that we do. And so for us, it was a no-brainer. It was Amazon and AWS. And so we really looked at solutions that's gonna help us. And I'll just walk through this and then I'll give you the big picture of how we all put it together. So, we're a microservices architecture running on Kubernetes. Managed EKS, managed Kubernetes has been really, really helpful for us, right? It has enabled us to not have to worry about managing the control plane and allowing Amazon to take care of that for us so we can spin up nodes and microservices really, really quickly. We got to store our data somewhere, right? And so RDS, that has been a great solution for us. And we're able to store read-only copies across multiple zones and multiple regions, so we ensure that we always have our data available, it's durable, and we don't lose a transaction or a copy if we're moving things around. Similar to what Sean said, we have an event bus. Like, consumers want to know, where is my food, right? Where is my order? And so order comes in through digital channels, hits our platform, goes down to the point of sale. They need to know, especially if it's delivery, like, does the restaurant have it? Are you making it? Is it on its way, right? Kafka sending out all these events, this event-driven architecture to know and to make sure customers know, hey, yeah, we got it, we're making it, it's on our way, you're gonna get it at this point, right? That is critical. That's critical to customer success. Nobody likes it when they submit an order, and then you're like, thank you for your order. And it's like, okay, well, am I getting any updates? Where is it? Like, do I have to be at the house? Like, right? That's frustrating. That's customer friction. We never want our customers to feel that way. We want them to know when it's coming, when they could expect it, especially whenever they're ordering during a peak hour, right? Ordering during a football game. Like, I get a ton of orders for that. And so customers, we found, want to know, hey, I'm okay if it's gonna be an hour. I just wanna know that it's gonna be an hour and that it is an hour. That transparency in making sure they know when it is, when it's coming, so on and so forth is really important. Fourth is, so we use Redis for caching, right? And that helps us store data, pull menus a lot faster, so on and so forth. Elasticache has really helped us kind of manage, spin those up very, very quickly and manage that throughout all of our instances. And then finally, of course, leveraging the multiple availability zones and regional failovers, that is a critical part. And what I love about Amazon is, I mentioned, they really operate globally. They've done this in the US, they've done this globally. They understand how to do these things. They understand things like local compliance laws, right? How do you do this with GDPR? How do you do this with this new Brazilian law that's happening, like that they care, like, and how you store customer data and then connect to a regional instance? Like, all of those complexities when you go outside the US come into play, and even in the US with CCPA in California, come into play, and the Amazon team has been right there with us, helping us, educating us, rolling up their sleeves with us to do that. So how do we put it all together? Here's kind of a high-level look at how everything is. You can see EKS at the bottom, managing our nodes. You can see the auto-scaling, and you kind of work your way up the stack. When I looked at this chart, I was like, what should I say about this? And I think the tagline for this chart is, with the managed services and the services that we leverage with AWS, it makes the complex easy. And I think that's just brilliant for us. It's brilliant for us because this is hard, right? There's so many failure points along this path, but Amazon has put together a collection of these services to really make it easy and durable, and it's a solution we can really trust and rely on. And then my team can worry about building the next stack and building new features and focus on those things that are customer focused and customer driven. Instead of worrying, well, does load balancing work, and do we need to scale up over here, and do we need to go over here, and oh, this event's happening over here, and we need to go do this. Like, that's off the table. They take care of it for us. So what are our outcomes? There's the primary outcome has always been our customer happiness. Right? Do they know when they order, they can trust the order's gonna get to the restaurant? Do they know when it's coming, when it arrives, is it gonna be hot and ready? All those things. Do they have a consistent experience across our channels? And then eventually a consistent experience across our countries and even across our brands. And so these are all the things that enable that experience. The elasticity that we have seen, and I'll show a cool chart in a second. We're able to get features out, and long are the days of, oh, hey, here's a blackout window, we're gonna do an upgrade over here, and yada, 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 right? Long ago are the days where, hey, we have to schedule a release, and everybody has to be good, and we have to make sure that the restaurants are open or not open, and those days are behind us. Now, it's really get it out quickly. We have the things in place. We know we can scale up, we can scale down. We know we can rip it out if it's not working. And we can move very, very fast and get that speed to market. And we saw it during the pandemic, right? We saw it with our shift and the ability to the spike in digital traffic that happened overnight, which I think happened in the restaurant industry and other industries as well. It was no big deal, so to speak, for us, right? It didn't keep us up at night. And then I think the last one is just the money that we've saved in coring up all of this across the brands and really using the power of our size and scale to deliver something to the consumers a lot faster. And then once we have this global platform, being able to plug and play new features and make them available globally like that. So I promised you the Mexican pizza. So this is what happened on Mexican Pizza Day. And this was about 3 months ago. So we took the Mexican pizza off the menu in the pandemic, and it caused some grumblings, including Dolly Parton and Doja Cat. They were not happy, and so we're like, all right, we're gonna bring it back and see what happens. Apparently, there's a cult around this Mexican pizza, and we brought it back. We didn't know what to expect. We thought we'd see some spike, but we ended up seeing a 4x spike on that day, and it was absolutely incredible. And then it sustained for a few days. We're like, wow, we were not expecting that. But the beautiful tagline of it was just another day for us, right? Because everything that we had built on AWS, autoscale, spun up new nodes, it worked. Everything worked. It worked exactly the way that it should have. And it worked, and this is the second outcome that I know I didn't think about, but now I'm acutely aware of, and don't even trust me on this. Like, ask my team, developer happiness, right? Like, when developers get to sleep, they don't have to worry about, we got to plan for this event, or what happens over here, what happens over there, right? We have what we call in our organization robots versus humans. And when we say robots, it's, any automation, really. And we actually keep track of this. We're like, how many times did a human have to identify, we need to over-provision here, we need to do this, or we have to go fix something? And then how many times does a robot go take care of these? And this includes, anomaly detection too of, hey, we're used to having this many sales on this date, and we're 10% under that, like there could be something going on, like that's a robot. A robot found that for us. Like, robots are killing it. So at the end of the year, we're gonna give our robots some awards. We do a lot of recognition, and we're gonna recognize the robots. Of course, these robots are trained by our awesome team, but this was huge for us. And it really allowed our team, our amazing high-performing team, to not just focus on managing things and fixing things and those things. It enabled them to build things and build new things and stand up an instance and move on, and now they're architecting another regional instance for us. And the number of times that I hear from my team that I love AWS, I love these solutions, and I love the team at AWS that is really partnering with us, rolling up their sleeves to help us solve these really tough global scalable problems that really nobody in restaurants has had to solve at this point. It's just incredible. And so, wrap it up. What are our next steps as a company? So we've got a couple instances up. Like I said, we're not in 155 countries yet. Like that's the North Star goal. And so I mentioned earlier, some of these countries we're in cannot afford the solution and the stack that you saw that was built for the US. And so we said, hey, Amazon, what can we do? And they've been amazing and said, all right, we have these options, we can do this, we can do that. And so we're problem solving through that to figure out, what does it look like? And how do we, if it is a different stack, how do we manage that effectively? Like, the worst thing you could do is have 12 different stacks across the globe. How do you make sure the most of it is common, and then the rest of it that's different is manageable, and you can still kind of copy and paste across when we do upgrades and all that kind of stuff. So the Amazon team's been great about helping us work and think through that and look for those solutions. And then the last one is the MAPS program. So if you haven't heard of this program, we were very surprised when Amazon presented it to us. They said, hey, what you're doing, you're consolidating a lot of cloud instances into kind of one. There's this program, MAPS program helps with that, right? It also helps if you're moving, I think, from on-prem into the cloud, that migration path. And so this is something we're sitting down with the Amazon team to figure out is there cost optimization or things that we can get back by using this program, and what does that look like for us? So I just want to end saying, once again, thank you to my team. Thank you to the Amazon team. This has been such a trusted partnership, and we're solving a very big size and scale and global problem in the QSR space, and I think we have the exact partner that we need on this. So, thank you.
Thank you so much, Kelly. Again, just confirmation of how modern architectures and the use of these new technologies like serverless allow Kelly and her team to build trusted solutions, again, for their guests, for their franchisees, and for all of their stakeholders. So super impressive. Really, today's learning opportunity is beginning to come to a close. Of course, I encourage you to go visit choicehotels.com. You can learn more about all of the brands, and you can see more of the sustainability work that Sean and his team are creating. You can visit yum.com and learn about all of the amazing food, and again, the amazing work that Kelly and her team are creating. And of course, please bookmark aws.com/hospitality. Also open 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. There you're able to view our really timely blogs where other executives will share their stories. There's hundreds of other customer success stories, so if you're looking for inspiration or maybe somebody solving a problem similar to something you're facing, great resource for you. And then we also have a ton of other materials that are available for you on the site. There are more than 60 reference architectures that will reveal to you common implementation patterns across all of travel and hospitality. And we even have downloadable ebooks on some really interesting subjects like forecasting for the 21st century or demand and revenue generation, and even things like cloud migration paths and migration journeys. So make all of those resources and artifacts available to yourself and help yourself on the journey. Really, on behalf of myself, Sean and Kelly, we say thank you for trusting in us to deliver to you, hopefully, a very insightful session. We appreciate your attendance and your very active listening. We want to continue to earn that trust. And so if anybody has a question about anything that they heard or they learned or want to continue the conversation, we're trusting each and every one of you with our personal email addresses and our LinkedIn profile. So certainly connect up if there's something that we can do in order to help you on your journey. And last but not least, I ask if you can please open that mobile app and take just a few brief minutes to fill out the survey. It's your feedback that directly influences the topics, the presenters, and the types of sessions that we put on at reInvent. And so you have an opportunity to help determine what's going to be presented at next year's session. So thank you so much, and please go forward and build some trusted applications for your organizations and your customers as well. Enjoy the rest of your reInvent experience.